So today we're going to be talking about Venus in Leo and what this placement means for you when it is in your natal chart, or if you're watching for somebody else that has this placement, what it means about them. So with that being said, Leo is the sign of entertainment, being seen, being on the center stage and attracting attention. And Venus is the planet that shows, first of all, what makes you relatable or makes people want to possess you, especially because it's having to do with love and attraction. And secondly, it shows what makes you valuable in the form of talents, possessions, or worth. It also shows one's beauty, especially for women, but actually for men as well. Like, it just shows one's general beauty or grace. Third, what I have written about Venus is that it shows what you love and what you are receptive to in others, especially on a romantic level. And especially for a woman, if you look at her Venus placement, it shows what qualities she is receptive to or attracted to. So what is her weakness, in a positive sense? Like, what does she love, For example, Venus in Leo shows somebody that is attracted to confidence and to somebody whose energy is very loud. Not necessarily in a vocal sense, but I mean like in terms of how one's energy speaks volumes about themselves, or how it gathers attention, So, okay, hopefully that made sense. But in other words, it shows, in this case, somebody that would be attracted to confidence or displays of value and people that stand out in some way, because Leo's all about standing out. I'm going to be talking to you guys briefly about my natal chart readings, because I would be doing you guys a disservice to not talk about my amazing and incredibly accurate natal chart readings. And then we're going to get back to the topic of this video. I'm interrupting this video with a brief mid-roll promotion. I wanted to talk to you guys about readings. I'm currently doing natal chart readings and interpretations. So if you would like a personalized video reading that is private and only sent to you, covering your personality, your talents, as well as your financial astrology, and then your destiny or your soul's purpose, which would be based on the North Node placement and the rulers of that, then check the email in my description, which is readings@astroseri.com, and go ahead and send me an email if you would be interested in booking a reading. I also offer aspect table readings, meaning all of the aspects that are in your chart and what they mean. And finally, I offer synastry readings, which is about love and compatibility. For the most part, everybody that I have done a reading has been amazed with the results and has greatly benefited, at least half of whom have left a donation after the reading to show their appreciation, or have purchased a second reading for somebody else, or for additional questions that they had. Now, my readings go in depth, so it is not for the faint of heart. So if you do not want to know how you really are based on your chart, then the readings are not for you. If you would like an interpretation of your chart by me, then definitely feel free to send an email. Let me know which type of reading that you're interested in, and we will work things out from there. With that being said, let's get back into the topic of this video. Thank you. So let's talk about what Venus means in Leo. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys for sitting through that brief promotion. And anyway, when Venus is in Leo, this shows somebody that attracts attention. This is the natural energy that Venus is bringing to your chart. Generally speaking, Venus is about value, and Leo is about being seen, and it's about being on display, and it's what we like to share with others, and it's what we're proud of. Generally speaking, people with Venus in Leo, they are proud of their possessions or what gives them worth. And when it comes to possessions and money, how they perceive those things is that it's not enough just to have those things. They want to be able to enjoy those things with others, and also even by themselves, they want others to be able to see those. So to them, they don't have wealth or they don't have worth if people can't see it. So this can be both a, not necessarily a strength, but this can feel like a weakness, especially when we're hearing, when I said it and you're hearing it like said that way. But it also shows this capacity or this tendency to want to demonstrate one's worth. So anyway, with Venus being in Leo, this shows somebody that loves to show off what gives them worth or what worth they possess. For example, in the form of possessions that they may have, or in the form of wealth. these are the showstoppers and the attention grabbers of the zodiac. The Venus is graceful in expression. So these people tend to draw attention to themselves not in a loud or obnoxious way, but rather gracefully, or like psychologically speaking. Like they just have a graceful ability to draw attention or to draw favorable opinions from others. Now, even if you don't consider yourself an attention seeker, though a lot of you guys will have a tendency to enjoy spotlight and to love being seen, like regardless of whether you're like that or what expression you have, Venus has this effect of drawing attention to you. And Venus can also be about clothes or a way of presenting ourselves. So there can be something that unconsciously draws attention to you about how you choose to dress, or about your taste in clothes, or your taste in presenting yourself. Or, you know, it could be also about your character too, because Leo is about our personality, our confidence, and our character. So just your ego, the way that you choose to present yourself in the world, tends to attract attention, or to gracefully, you know, bring attention to, you know, what makes you relatable, because Venus shows what about us makes us relatable. And so what makes you relatable, and even in some cases desirable, is your self-expression, your confidence, or your way of acting, like I was saying. And Venus in Leo shows also talented performers, could be talented actors, dancers, singers, and creatives as well. So that's not also something that makes you valuable, or that this placement shows, because Venus is about possessions that we have. Possessions can be capabilities or talents as well. So when it's in Leo, which is all about self-expression and performance, it shows graceful performers. It shows people that have an ability to entertain others. And sometimes they can do it without even having to try, because Venus is a feminine and an attraction planet. It attracts, you know, attention rather than trying to seek it aggressively and obnoxiously, or clumsily. So anyway, with that being said, like generally speaking, you know, Venus in Leo, or even in the 5th house too, which is the house of Leo, shows somebody that has something graceful about the way that they perform, or that they act or express themselves. So this translates well to performance arts. And then, you know, when Venus is in Leo, it is in the 4th house from Taurus, which is one of the signs that it rules. The other sign is Libra, which we'll talk about in a second. But generally speaking, when it's in Leo, it's in the 4th sign from its own sign. And the 4th house is all about investments of time, care, or energy into creative endeavors or projects, because it's all about, you know, caring for things. It's all about raising a family. The 4th house rules family and motherhood, and like how we nurture others, and how we feel nurtured. And it's also about comfort. So first of all, you know, Venus in Leo shows people that love the finer things in life. They love comfort. They love, you know, luxury, for one. Secondly, it shows people that are creatively gifted, because they may have a passion for, you know, developing creations, you know, especially in their home life. The 4th house is about our home life, and Venus is in the 4th from its own sign when it's in Leo. So there's a mixture of Leo energy and this tendency to enjoy comfort, and like also this creative tendency, because the 4th house is a water house, and it's all about creative projects. It's all about investing time, care, or energy towards something. So these people can be good artists, is what I mean. Like they could make art, they could even make music. They're good on camera. You know, there's a lot of capabilities that they have, but this is one of the most creative placements, because again, you know, Venus is the planet of beauty, and what I forgot to mention is about balance and harmony and our senses. It's about having aesthetic gifts as well. So these people can filter aesthetic beauty through creations and through creativity, and this can take the form of art too. So anyway, what I'm trying to say in a general sense in this point is that these individuals are talented performers and talented creatives. And what makes you relatable is your self-expression, your confidence, or your graceful mannerism, or just your personality. Now, the next point about this placement is that, like I was saying, Venus is also the ruler of Libra, and Leo is the 11th sign from Libra. The 11th house is our individuality, and it's also our network, our friends, our associates, and the things that we participate in. So when you have Venus in Leo, what also makes you relatable is your individuality, particularly your confidence in your individuality. So what makes you attractive or relatable is when people see you have confidence in yourself and in the traits that make you unique, or in the interests that you have that make you unique. So it's important to develop your confidence as somebody that has Venus in Leo, because it's what makes you valuable towards others and is what makes you relatable and what even makes people want to possess you in love. So, the more you can have confidence in your individuality and in your unique traits, the more you can bring them out of yourself and accept them even in the eyes of others. It's actually going to make you more of a trendsetter in the eyes of others, and it's going to make you very relatable to other people, because Venus is the planet of relatability. Also, what makes you relatable is the things that you choose to participate in. It could be your network and also your friends too. And the reason why is because these people that have Venus in Leo possess innate coolness. They possess swag or innate popularity. So even if you may not think of yourself as, the coolest kid on the block, or you may not think of yourself as the brightest star or light bulb in the chandelier. Generally speaking, though, this placement showed that people perceive you as cool or within a certain circle that they want to be in. They could even if you're not in part of a circle, people want you a part of their circle. The reason why is because Leo is all about coolness. It's all about what stands out. It's all about what shines. And Leos are trendsetters. So when you have the planet Venus in this sign, Venus is all about possessions. And so this is one of the best placement for possessing coolness or possessing popularity, because Venus shows that you possess some sort of swagger or an aura of coolness. Same with having Venus in the 5th house. And why this matters is, people tend to look to you to see what you participate in socially, behaviorally, or even trend-wise. And even if this is on a subconscious level, they just do it subconsciously even. In another sense, since the 11th house is about network and friends, and you have Venus in the 11th from his own sign, which is why I bring it up. There's a blend of Leo and 11th house energy here. This indicates that you may tend to have cool or popular relationships or associates or friendships. You may attract those things. But that is the last point that I have for Venus and Leo. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. And to summarize this placement, this shows the love of being seen. And it shows somebody that loves to show what gives them worth. They love to demonstrate it. And your wealth is your character. It's your talents, your capabilities, and your ability to perform or be seen. This plays also an important role of how you make wealth. So, you could even, regardless of your job, your character or your personality makes you, a desirable employee as well. So this could be about being a receptionist, for example, and having a charming personality, or being able to, entertain guests or be inviting and make them feel good. Venus in Leo shows people that have this ability to make others feel good. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about what this placement means through each of the houses very briefly. So with Venus being in Leo in the 1st house, this shows that what makes you valuable, or what your wealth is yourself. The 1st house is the house of the self, and it's a house of our identity. So you and your character and your personality are what makes you attractive to other people. So this shows somebody with an attractive personality, or somebody that's very likable. And this is one of the most favorable placements for Venus, because Venus is about beauty and the 1st house is about our appearance or our personality. So it shows somebody that's very charming and relatable due to their character when it's in the 1st house. And it shows somebody that really draws attention to them subconsciously, even if they're not trying. And somebody that's part of, popular circles as well, or that people want in their circle sometimes even. With that being said, that leads us to the 2nd house. So what gives you wealth, which is Venus, when it's in Leo in your 2nd house, is the fact that you have true worth when Venus is in Leo in the 2nd house. Because the 2nd house is the house of value and worth. It's also the house of possessions and talents, because talents are things that we possess that set us apart or make us valuable. So with Venus and Leo in the 2nd house, you have certain capabilities that make you appreciable to other people, and especially because you have this tendency to be generous with your capabilities and you love to bring value to others. And the 2nd house can also be about possessions, so you can also have possessions or wealth that makes you stand out to others. So this is the type of placement that can show somebody that has a lot of nice things, or has something that makes that stands out, or that captures attention that other people want to be a part of. You could be the person that always has the newest stuff, like the newest, for example, gadgets, or like somebody that has, access to resources, and you like to share that with other people when the Venus is in your second house, and it's in Leo, which is about generosity or bringing value to other people. And generally speaking too, it shows somebody that's a caregiver that likes to use their talents to entertain others or bring pleasure to others. So these can be good cooks, these could be good, artists or performers, or like especially something material about them that they have, like possessions. They like to set up others to feel good, and like they like to spend money on others as well, or spend money with others. So with that being said, that's the second house. If you have Venus and Leo in your third house, what makes you valuable is your communication and your interactions. Like the way that you interact or communicate is valuable, because the third house is ruled by Mercury, and the third house is a masculine house. Masculine houses and signs are all the air signs and all the fire signs. And these are about things that we do. So with Leo, this means that you have a charming or relatable personality or confidence about yourself or energy. And for you, it expresses through your voice or your communication. You could be very charming, witty, funny, or clever. And people just like talking to you. So this is a very charming people that have Venus and Leo in the third house, because they're good talkers. They're entertaining communicators. And they have ability to network and interact with others as well, very, very well, and make good connections because of Venus being in the 11th sign from its own sign of Libra. So next, this leads us to the fourth house. So if you have Venus and Leo in the fourth house, what makes you valuable is your creative capacities. And it is about your intrinsic talents, because the fourth house is about things that are internal to us that are not necessarily visible to others. And what makes you valuable is when you display those capabilities or those talents to other people. And a lot of times your talents can take the form of a creative gift. So something that's not necessarily seen at first. It's something that people only notice when they see our creations. And, that's because the fourth house is a very creative house. It's a water house, and it's about projects and developing things and growing things. It's even about, it's generally seen about raising a family. That's how it's generally seen or generally understood. It's about our family life and how we nurture things and how we nurture others. But it's also how we, grow things, like grow a garden, how we spend time or energy into our investments or to our home life. But it's just also how we grow project as well, especially a creative one, because the analogy of the family is that a family is like a creative endeavor, and our decisions reflect into the products that we are raising, which is our children in that case. Our children are a product of ourselves. So anyway, with Venus and Leo being in your fourth house, what makes you valuable is your intrinsic capabilities, your creative capabilities, or some talents that you have that are not immediately visible, that if you choose to display it to others, it makes you fascinating, attractive, or entertaining to them, or they really appreciate your creations. So with that being said, that leads us to the fifth house. If you have Venus and Leo in your fifth house, what gives you spiritual or material wealth and value to others is your character. And it is your personality, your confidence, and how you choose to express yourself. And even how you choose to pursue attention, how you put yourself on center stage. Because this is double Leo. And so whenever you seek to be seen through the way that you present yourself, the way that you dress, or the way that you try to entertain others or perform for them, perform your talents, like that's what makes you attractive to others when Venus is in Leo in your fifth house. It's pure fire energy, which is all about action and how you do things. So with that being said, that leads us to the sixth house. So if you have Venus and Leo in the sixth house, which is all about work and service, what makes you valuable or gives you worth towards others is the quality of your service. Because the sixth house can be about perfectionism, and it's about our work life. And so it has both to do with quality in one sense, but on a completely other topic, it's also about, or I guess in a completely other sense, it's about, our work life or our service to humanity. So generally speaking, people with Venus and Leo in the sixth house, they are top performers in their work environment. And they're high performers when it comes to the service that they provide others through their work lives. But also they have a quality of perfectionism and imaginative ability to them that manifests well in their creative works as well. So if these are creative individuals, people that are into art, people that are into forms of performance or music or things like that, they usually have this perfectionistic quality to their work, or like this very imaginative quality where they really try to materialize their vision. And this is attractive to others, or like the product of what they do is very entertaining or valuable towards others as a result. So they just have this talent that comes through practice or perfectionism. And also they are good servants. Like they're quality workers, quality service people as well. So that is if you have Venus and Leo in the 6th house. And on a side note, you love to like entertain others or bring value to others, even in the most mundane of situations, including, the example of work. Whatever work that they do, they love to bring a smile to other people's face, or they just love to, entertain them or bring value to them in any way that they can. These people go like the perfect length extra. Like I was going to say, they go the extra mile, but like Venus is very, very balanced and very graceful. So they're like, these people know just how to go a little bit further, just enough to like, make people very happy, or like to really flatter people, if that makes any sense. So like these people go the extra mile, but they at the same time they conserve their energy, like they're very graceful about it. They know just what little extra spice to add to things, or to do when it comes to their work life, or when it comes to serving others, to like take people's hats off, and like to like really blow people away. So anyway, that's Venus and Leo in the 6th house. It's all about service. Nobody does better service than those people. Next, this leads us to the 7th house. So if you have Venus and Leo in the 7th house, it's also, about charm and what makes us relatable. It's also about our relationships to others. So first of all, people with Venus and Leo in the 7th house, they have cool or popular friends or relationships. Like there's certain other people that you are connected to or tied to that bring you a lot of worth. That is the first thing about this, because the 7th house is about our relationships, and it's about others and how others play a role in our life. So you have people in your life, you have best friends, or even, romantic partners that have status or popularity, or at least you attract certain people like that throughout your life that, make you appear valuable in the eyes of others and make people want to be a part of your circle, or part of what you're a part of. But secondly, the 7th house is about being charming or relatable, having a good reaction to things, and just having social grace. So what makes you valuable or gives you wealth in the eyes of others in a way is your charm, and it is your social grace. Like you always know how to reciprocate the perfect amount. And like your character is very relatable. Your personality is very charming or relatable in some way. And like you know how to network as well. You know how to participate in things, or in social groups and things like that, in a way that is attractive to other people, or makes people perceive you as popular or cool in some way. Like they want you a part of their circle. So with that being said, that is Venus in Leo in the 7th house. This leads us to the next house, which is the 8th house. So if you have Venus in Leo in the 8th house, the 8th house is about the desires of others. It's about sexuality as well. It's about being seductive. So generally speaking, people with Venus and Leo in the 8th house, they like to display sexual viability. They like to display, their seductive traits, and they like to grab attention. They are showstoppers, attention grabbers, but in a seductive way. So there could be something psychologically seducing about your character or how you act that makes you attractive to others. And like you could be playful or flirtatious, or there could be some secret side of yourself that people perceive that you hint at, through the way that you act. It's like people perceive that you're hinting at something, or that you're seducing them a lot. And you just have this playfully seductive character as well. And this could even be a subconscious aspect of yourself. But generally speaking, you have this magnetism that draws attention to you. And sometimes it can feel like it's the wrong type of attention, especially if it's a woman watching this and that has this placement. Like, you attract a lot of sexual attention as well, because the 8th house is all about sexuality and taboo subjects. And it's all about people's deepest desires. So you really have an obsessive ability on others. And like, you really have this like ability to activate other people's like deepest desires, you know? And like, you are like the archetype, or like the physical manifestation of people's desires. When they see you, they project onto you, you know, their desires, if that makes any sense. And as a male that has this placement, if you have that and you're watching for that, you know, you're like, the way that you're attractive is like your charm, or like your social grace in a way. Like, you're psychologically intelligent, because the 8th house can be about psychology. Anyway, that is, if you have Venus and Leo in the 8th house, what gives you worth, or what makes you attractive towards others. So next, this leads us to the 9th house. The 9th house is all about experience. It's all about knowledge. It's all about wisdom and being carefree. So first of all, people that have Venus and Leo in the 9th house, what makes them attractive is their carefree personality. That's for certain. Venus and Leo shows somebody that has a charming or relatable personality, or like way of acting. And the 9th house is about being carefree. It's about being a risk taker. It's about having a lot of experiences or wisdom. So first of all, people perceive you as being more wise or knowledgeable than them when you have Venus in Leo in the 9th house. Because Venus is about possessions, and in the 9th house, this is about possession of wisdom. And this is like an innate gift or talent that you have, is that you're wise, experienced, and you're brave. You're like a risk taker because you have wisdom, if that makes any sense. And you have it in Leo, which is about your character. And so, as I was saying in the general section of this video, is that Venus in Leo shows somebody that possesses coolness, or possesses some form of swagger, or like this energy or aura of popularity. So in you, it takes the form of like being experienced, being wise, or knowing more than other people. Like, people, even if it's not the case, people always perceive you as just knowing more than them, or being more experienced. And like, this is a part of like what makes you cool to them or attractive. And it's all through your character or your way of acting, because that's what Leo is about. So anyway, hopefully that made sense for the 9th house. Venus and Leo in the 9th house also shows somebody that's passionate about knowledge, passionate about expanding their mind, on a side note. So with that being said, that leads us to the 10th house. Now, this one is very straightforward in terms of, you know, what your wealth is, or like what makes you attractive to others, or what makes you relatable. It's your reputation. First of all, Leo is all about drama and entertainment. And when it's in the 10th house, this can indicate that you have a reputation of drama, or like an entertaining public image. You know, people like to talk about what you're up to, or people like to wonder what you're up to. And there's a lot of eventful things that happen in your life that make it to your social media, or that make it to other people's social media, or that make it into people's conversations. Now, furthermore, Venus is about possession. So somebody that Venus in the 10th house will have an energy that attracts a lot of status in their life. Astrology is about energies. Like, our chart and all the planets inside of it show different energies that are happening. So when Venus is in the 10th house, it will have a tendency to attract fame, or to attract, you know, attention from others, or like to attract a favorable reputation. And when it's in Leo, this is about coolness, like I was saying earlier. Leo is about, you know, standing out. It's about it's about confidence, and it's about stardom. And so Venus in Leo has this tendency to have an aura of popularity or coolness to other people, or people look to you as an example, especially because of the fact that it's in your 10th house. This is about your reputation. Like, you have a very favorable reputation. Like, you're also very tapped in or connected to the right networks, or at least that's how people perceive you. People want you in their circle because of the clout that you have, or the notoriety that you have in some sense, even if it's notoriety within your community, or even if it's just the people in the immediate vicinity of your family. Like, you just have a favorable or cool reputation, because Venus is about possessions, and the 10th house is about fame, or how we are known. Generally speaking as well, Venus in the 10th house shows somebody that attracts a favorable reputation, somebody that's relatable to others, or that people find likable or charming. And it can also show that you make wealth from your public image or from being known in some way. You can utilize any notoriety that you have to make money as well. So anyway, that is Venus and Leo in the 10th house. I really love that one. That one's a very interesting placement for Venus, and it's like exciting in a way. But this leads us to the next house, which is the 11th house. If you have Venus in Leo in the 11th house, what makes you valuable to others, relatable, what gives you spiritual wealth in your chart is your relationships and your associations, your network. Because the 11th house is about the things that we're a part of. And so, generally speaking, people with Venus in the 11th house possess a lot of valuable friendships. And they make a lot of money from the ability to network, because Venus is also the planet of money. So it is also showing a part of our charts that makes money for us. So anyways, people with the Venus in the 11th house tend to have a lot of valuable connections, and they tend to find a lot of pleasure in networking and in participating in group activities as well. Now, when it's in Leo, this is all about popularity, like popular friends or people that are cool or have like a large personality, you know, in a way. And anyway, like this is definitely could be an aspect of yourself that attracts a lot of friends, or you could have, you know, popular or powerful friendships when you have Venus and Leo in the 11th house. And regardless of if it's you or somebody else, or like qualities of some of your friends, like you will attract definitely popular connections that also give you a lot of worth and make people want to be a part of your circle, or make people want you to be a part of them or their circle. Anyway, the 11th house can also be about our individuality. So you have unique character traits that make you relatable and charming to other people, especially traits of your personality, you know. I was going to say character traits again. But yeah, the 11th house is about what makes us unique, what makes us stand out. So generally speaking, your uniqueness is very well accepted when you have Venus in the 11th house. When it's in Leo, means that the uniqueness is part of what actually makes you cool or popular, or like what gives you like swag in the eyes of other people, you know. Anyway, that's the 11th house. And finally, this leads us to Venus and Leo in the 12th house. So if you have Venus in Leo in the 12th house, the 12th house is about being adaptable towards others, especially when we're talking about the context of Venus being in the 12th house. Venus is exalted in the 12th house and in the sign Pisces, which is associated with the 12th house. And it shows people with universal charm or universal grace. People that are able to adapt to any social situation, or, you know, any environment or people that they're surrounded by. And this makes them, you know, very relatable. Because again, Venus is about being relatable. So when we think about it in the context of the 12th house, which is a mutable water house, and it's all about universalism, it's all about all things, and it's all about being adaptable, being creative, being imaginative as well. In a social sense, though, it shows somebody that's adaptable to all people. Like all people can find you relatable or charming. And since it's in Leo, this is about your character, your ego, your personality. So like you have this unique ability to change your personality to best fit the social circumstances that you're a part of. So this can make you a little bit of a finesser, a little bit of a, like, not a socialite. That's not the word I'm looking for, but that's what came to my mind. But more like somebody that's a little bit of a clever mouth. Like that's like somebody that has a clever mouth, somebody that's a swooner, like somebody that's able to charm others, you know. You guys get what I mean. I can't think of the exact word for those types of people, like but people that are slick, you know, people that are finessers, you know, that know how to get what they want. Especially because the natural sign that has the 12th house in Leo is Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is the trickster god and the clever communicator, the charming speaker. So a lot of you guys can be Virgo risings. Actually, a lot of you guys could be Virgo risings. Some of you guys can be Leo risings. Some of you guys in rare cases can be Libra risings. But anyway, as I was saying though, what makes you attractive or valuable is this universal relatability to you, but you do it in like a confident way. You're not like a pushover, like in the sense of, for example, having the sun in the 12th house in a different sign. Instead, like, since the Venus is the planet that's in your 12th house and it's in Leo, like you have a loud and bold personality. You attract a lot of attention to yourself, or you attract favorable opinions and attention, and you do it intentionally in a way that is adapted or suited to whoever that you're around. So a lot of times you can adapt or change your personality for that. But generally speaking, it shows you have a lot of charisma because Venus is exalted and it's in Leo. So you have an exalted planet in your chart and it's connected to the sign Leo, which is about your charisma. So generally speaking, these people are very, charismatic or just generally very likable, especially if it's somebody that feels more introverted and less, outgoing. One thing's for sure is that regardless of that, like this placement shows that people find you very likable. So anyway, with that being said, that summarizes. Oh yeah, no. The last thing though that I forgot to mention before we, summarize it is that Venus in Leo in the 12th house shows people with creative ability and like have a talented imagination. And yeah, like they can be good artists, good filmmakers, good performance. They generally look good on camera or are very photogenic and videogenic because the 12th house is about film, cinema. It's about movie stars, idols, musicians. So these people can have creative performance gifts. That's another thing. And they can like almost channel, creativity through their body and through dance or like through art or through singing in some way. It's something creative about what you do. There's at least one creative gift that you have when you have this placement of Leo and the 12th house Venus. Anyways, that summarizes what I wanted to talk about for Venus and Leo through each of the houses. So I hope that this video was insightful and that you guys enjoyed. And if you watched all the way through, even if you had a different house placement for Venus, then I see you. I acknowledge you. I'm aware that some of you guys have, and I appreciate that. And generally speaking, like for everybody that watched, I appreciate you guys for watching and for supporting in any way that you do. And I will talk to you guys soon in another video. If you'd like a natal chart reading, also don't forget to hit the email in my description with your information and your inquiries, and I'd be glad to check out your chart for you for the fee that I am currently charging at that time. So with that being said, I will talk to you guys sometime soon in another video. Peace.